Welcome back to Houston Life. Today we're catching up with one of our favorite chefs. Don't laugh. He's also a TV host. He won't read from a prompter, but his name is Chris Shepard, and he's here.
Yeah, and Chris is so busy. You were just telling us you've had such a busy morning. You were kicking off a brand new batch of your Table to Stage series. Yeah. And this is a big deal because you have a brand new location and you have some of the biggest names in the culinary world. Tom Colicchio, Gail Simmons. Give people the 411.
So, I mean, they were here for Top Chef, obviously, back in 21. And we just got to know each other really well. You know, they kind of used my back patio. It was like after they'd break, come and relax. We'd have a glass of wine and just talk, you know, talk through the night. And you never know who was coming. Like, all of a sudden, Gail's sitting there and she'd be like, Tom's coming by. I'm like, all right. And then here are all of the chefs that were just on Top Chef showing up at my house. And I'm just like, okay, hi. And like, I learned so much just talking with Tom and Gail over that like month and a half period, and it just became good friends.
Okay, so I mean, Top Chef, we loved having it here in Houston. I was lucky enough to be part of one of the episodes, the Restaurant Wars episode at Post Houston downtown. It was fascinating to watch behind the scenes. Chris, I've known you for years. I had no idea that after filming every single day, Gail and Tom and the gang were just coming over to your house, hanging with you and Lindsay.
Well, you know, because at that time nobody could. There was no dining indoors for them, so I would also set up reservations where like we would go sit in the parking lot at a table. It's like crawfish and noodles right outside the doors, and it was a lot of fun. So you know, we just got to hang out with them a lot and learn from them, and you know, learn business, learn life, learn how to do things right. So.
Well, you guys are all doing stuff right, and everyone wants to hear what you have to say. I know it wasn't your idea to put a camera in when you guys are chatting, but now you're going to be at the House of Blues. How do you feel about that? How's that venue?
I mean, that's going to be awesome. You know, it just gives us a different place and a different thing, and I wanted to take that show around and see where it's going to go, and I just have a good time with it. And it was one of those things that I started back with Yotam Ottolenghi and having the conversation with him. And you know, that was 2,000 people. And so he was like, you need to do this more often. This is the most comfortable I've ever felt on a stage. And it was like, oh, okay. And so like, I just like to have a conversation. I want to know.
And I think one of the reasons why, I mean, you want to know and your passion is palpable, but also maybe this is why podcasts have become so popular, because people see figures like you, Gail Simmons, Tom Colicchio, and to be able to pull back the curtain and have an extended conversation. Essentially, at the House of Blues, you'll be up on stage having chats with these icons, and the audience will be there. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast? I know, I'm going off the rails here.
It's been in the conversations for sure. But this is, having written a cookbook and going out and doing cookbook tours, it's so hard because you do these dinners in a restaurant and then you don't really get to have a conversation about why the book was written or how, what's the book about for the most part. You cook a couple of dishes and then people eat and then you sign the book and then 40 or 50 people leave. Yeah. And this gives the opportunity for I would say 200 people to sit down and have a conversation and be able to ask the questions, be able to meet Tom, be able to have a book signed, have that moment where he can have, or whoever the author is, have that discussion about why they did this in their life. Because, I mean, it took me 3 years to write a book. And when you go to a dinner, you get 36 seconds to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it doesn't really translate. And then you hope, well, I hope they read page 48 or whatever it is, because I think that was an important page. I'm not saying that's what it is, but like, this gives him the ability to have the conversation about why. Right. And I mean, the book is called Why I Cook. And so like, let's get into it. Like, let's chop that up. Let's talk about why do you cook? Yeah. You know, what got you to be where you're at today? You know, what do you cook at home? Because I know like his big passion is he loves to fish. And so like, where does that tie into? And how do you cook with that? And like, so like, noticing the book that like it's broken up into seasonality instead of like pasta, rice, meat, fish, it gives, you can cook with seasons through this book. And I love books like that.
For true fans of food and then true fans of like you and Tom, it's a way to get that extended version where it's just an extended conversation. And but speaking of the why, you have a tremendous foundation as well. You do Southern Smoke. Do you have any updates for us? What's going on? What's the latest with Southern Smoke?
So we had our festival October 5th, one afternoon, 70 chefs. We raised $1.5 million.
Oh my gosh.
In the afternoon. And just in the past 3 weeks with Hurricane Helene and Milton recovering relief, We've granted over $528,000 just in the past three weeks.
And for people that don't know, I mean, we're familiar with Southern Smoke, but it benefits hospitality workers, bartenders, people in the service industry that don't usually, they're usually living paycheck to paycheck. They survive off of tips. They survive.
Zero safety net.
Exactly.
And so that's what we started this as, is just to be a safety net for the people in the food and beverage industry. And so it's available to anybody basically in the food chain. If it takes to get to the table, from the drivers to the farmers, whatever, we don't really care, because everybody in this industry has a part of this industry. And so they all need to be taken care of with dignity and respect, and with love and compassion. And so, right now it's a lot of hurricane relief efforts. Our budget was, when we did it last year, like, we will grant $1 million this year. And we will grant actually about $3 million this year.
Oh my goodness.
And so just because of the amount of storms, the amount of things that have happened, and we don't forget things. In September, we finally finished up funding folks in Maui. And so we never forgot, we don't forget. And so we do funding for emergency relief, but then also we do access to free mental health care. So we're at right over 6,000 free mental health care sessions that have been granted out so far. So
it's incredible.
we're in 10 states with that right now.
You've been growing and growing, and I know the work never stops. Like you mentioned, the hurricane relief, there's always going to be a need. Chris, I think it's incredible, the community you've built. I know you love food and you love being a chef, and Houston loves you. And I think what you've built is just maybe not what you set out to do.
It's not, but you know what? I love the people. I love the people just like people love what we do. I need to extend that to everybody, because I want to make sure that the dishwashers and the prep cooks and the bussers are all taken care of when times get a little tight. It may not have to be a hurricane, or may not have to be anything, but you know what? Things happen. You get a bike stolen. Hey, let's take care of your bike. You get your car repossessed. Hey, let's listen. Our case managers have actually renegotiated deals for them.
Amazing.
And so to get people out of trouble, and that's the keys, right? And
Houston helping Houston, and then beyond.
The world.
Beyond Houston.
Okay, Chris Shepard, we're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned, because when we come back, Chris will be chatting with legendary celebrity chef Tom Colicchio.
Don't go anywhere.
he still makes me nervous.
No, there he is. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Houston Life. I'm so excited for this. I get to have the opportunity, chance to talk to one of my favorite chefs, Chef Tom Colicchio. He's joining us now ahead of his trip to Houston. Hi, Chef. How are you?
Good, Chris. How you doing?
You know what? It's so good to see you, and I can't wait to see you this weekend. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And it's
been a minute or two.
Yeah, and I just always want to thank you so much for all the support that you've given us at the foundation, and just being the human being that you are. It's you're not only just an amazing chef, but you're a fantastic advocate for people.
Well, thanks. It's gonna be fun. I haven't seen you in about a year or so, right?
I know, yeah.
It's been nice to get back down there, and I think I missed your event this year. I think I was shooting, so I couldn't get down there.
Yep, you were. But you know what? That's the life of that, right?
Yeah. That's the only time I don't have control over my schedule, is when I'm shooting. So
when it's time for Top Chef, you're gone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how many seasons now total is this? It's like 20.
We just finished our 22nd season.
22nd season. How do you still love it? Does it still this is a thing?
I do. I enjoy it. Listen, I love the people I work with. And that's just not only Kristen and Gail, but the entire crew. I mean, you've been around. We shot in Houston. We have a great crew, and so for me, it's like going to summer camp. I go for the 6 or 7 weeks. We all hang out. We make our TV show, and then I'm gone for the rest of the year. And then I go and see them next year. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. Plus, the chefs are just getting better and better. And I love that part of my job. I get to mentor a lot of young chefs and meet with them, and hopefully help them out any way I can.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, and I know that you probably know this, but I'm going to tell you this out loud, that I think that you're one of the most influential mentors in this industry for a lot of chefs and a lot of people, whether they're on the show the entire time or whether they go pretty quickly, they all still listen to you and look up to you and take those words of advice that you give to them. So thank you for mentoring our industry the way that you have.
Thanks.
So anyway, Why I Cook. This is a really amazing book, Chef.
Thanks.
I mean, it deep dives and to have the conversations like, why did you write Why I Cook, right? Because there's a lot of books that you could write, but this one is very you.
It's very personal. So it's really for those that haven't seen the book. It's really a memoir. It is a cookbook because I owed my publisher a cookbook. But during the pandemic, I was going through an existential crisis, like so many people, wondering if the restaurants were going to reopen, if I wanted to reopen, if I wanted to continue working in the industry. I was a lot of soul searching, and I've owed my book, my publisher, a book for 17 years, and so I tried to buy the book back. I didn't want to make a book, and so over this time during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of Zoom cooking classes.
Yeah.
And the question would always come up, when did you start cooking? Why do you cook? And, at first I started just kind of giving my usual answer. And then I really started thinking about it and started thinking about the people that were important in my life. And it was time to write a memoir. And once I decided to write a memoir, then I felt I really needed to be honest about it. And so, I discuss a lot of things in here that I've never discussed before, publicly.
Yeah.
And in some cases privately. And so I felt it was time to do that. You start getting up there in age, and you start thinking of a legacy and what you're going to leave behind. And so I thought it was the right time to do a memoir.
Well, it's a beautiful book, and even with the recipes, you break it up into seasons. And so I always get into the things where it's like, okay, I'm looking for soup, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. But you've got the history behind everything, and then you've got it broken into seasons, and it's just a beautiful thing. And so we'll get into it so much more on Sunday.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Table to Stage at House of Blues. I just, it makes me so happy that you're coming to town.
Cool.
I get to spend. Is there any place you want to eat? Like, what's on the list?
No, you tell me.
Okay.
I don't know. It's your town, man. You tell me where we're going.
I love
it. I'm in your hands.
I love it. I can't
Where you
wait to
wanna go.
see
Yeah.
you this
We'll
weekend,
go.
Chef.
We'll eat some food, drink some wine, and have a good time.
We'll just get to relax. It's going to be great. I appreciate you. And how's the fishing going?
Man, fishing right now. So for those out there listening to this, I love to fish. Chris knows that. The only bad thing about doing Top Chef is we start shooting right in the middle when the tuna fishing starts to really take off. So I missed all of that. I did get out last week. I got a couple big stripers, but we were looking for tuna. They were there. There were actually very large tuna within, we were 6 miles off the beach, and just massive tuna. We couldn't hook them. They're really tough this time of year. And they're big. These were 100 to 110 inch fish. So, you're looking 600-700 pounds.
That's amazing.
Massive fish that we were fishing on spinning rods, like heavy spinning rods, but we didn't hook one up, but it was fun to see them. But yeah, it's starting to get cold now. The last couple of days, fall finally hit New York. It was, last week it was 80 degrees. And so it kind of got cold, and I'm, I get, the older I get, I'm more of a fair weather fisherman. When it gets cold, I don't want to do it anymore. So I think I'm done for the season.
Chef, I'll see you this Sunday.
I'll see you soon.
So thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on the show. You mean everything in the world to me in this industry, so thank you.
Likewise.
All right, we'll send it back over to Derek and Tessa. You guys get it.